Hello, my name is David C., and we are here for Honors Physics. This course, let's see here. Let me show you a PowerPoint, if that's all right with you. Okay, so my name is David C. It's pronounced C and spelled thusly. You'll find that if you're looking to email me, the best way, that's really probably the best way of getting a hold of me. You can go ahead and do that via the Waubonsie Valley High School webpage. Just go in the upper left to faculty and staff and scroll down to the science department, and you look for the name that looks like it might be pronounced C, David C., and that link will be right there to email me. Your students can easily email me through their Student View account, and I think you can access Parent View, and we can link, which will send you actually to a second email account that's through those Synergy programs. That I gotta get in the habit of checking that one too now. But you can do it that way, and your students can always contact me through the Google Classroom webpage. They can send me private messages through that, asking me questions about their homework, and I can look at their assignment and answer them. So that's really the best way to get hold of me. I presume that what you'd like to get out of this really quick little session is a little bit about who the teacher is and what I'm like, a bit about what the course is like, and what you can do to help your student be successful. So first, very quickly, a little bit about myself. So my degree is in chemical engineering. I went to U of I in Champaign. I knew ever since I was little that I always liked science. It was my favorite class in school, and I always knew I wanted to do something in science. And when I was in high school, I really liked the physical sciences, and I thought about chemistry and thought about physics, and chemistry seemed simple, seemed to come pretty naturally to me. And, I like math, and people were like, oh, well, you should look at chemical engineering. I found once I was in the program that it wasn't quite what I wanted. When I was, the way I paid for college was I worked a semester, school semester, worked a semester, school semester, was co-oping, cooperative education, working in a research lab. And so but that was what was paying for my education, was being a chemical engineering major. So I kind of finished up the degree, which was very interesting anyway. And thought about what I want to do with my life and people that I had admired growing up. And I thought about teaching. I enjoy explaining things to people. I like the idea that when you're teaching, you're doing something positive. You're helping people to learn and grow. And a lot of people I'd kind of admired growing up have been teachers. So when I graduated from U of I went ahead and I substitute taught for a semester to kind of make sure that teaching was what I really wanted to do. And it convinced me that was where I belong. And so I went ahead and went to Wheaton College and got certified to teach over the next 2 years. And it was definitely the right move. This is, what I was meant to do. So let's see. Later on, I got a master's at North Central. Let's see. My family. I've got 2 sons, Andrew and Nathan. My wife Erica. Picture's a couple years old. Andrew and Nathan just had his 10th birthday, and Andrew just had his 11th birthday. Or yes, last night he would be his 11th birthday, right? No, wait. You're going to see this on 17th. Okay, the 22nd is his 11th birthday, September 22nd. Let's see. Right, we had a cat for many years named Mambo. Here we go. But a bit more about me. My favorite book is Ender's Game. I enjoy the way that the story, a lot of it takes place inside the main character's head, and how he figures out how things work, and movies about leadership, and it's a very interesting book and enjoyable. And my favorite movie is Lord of the Rings. First read the Lord of the Rings novels. Started doing that when I was in 4th grade, and they kind of hold a special place in my heart. So I was really pleased with how those movies came out. My favorite musical group's Rush, and I spent a lot of time reading and playing board games and video games and gardening around the house. Let's see here. So Waubonsie, I don't know if you've seen our school mission statement before, that Waubonsie are missions to foster students learning to their highest potential while providing diverse and challenging educational experiences that academically, socially, and emotionally shape our students into independent and productive members of society. I would like to add that my personal goal is not just that the students be, productive and able to sustain themselves. I want students to be so good at what they do that they're able to help others, right? They're able and willing and wanting to help others is, I think, really kind of the goal that I'm shooting for. And in physics, certainly is going to help that. Understanding how the universe works is going to be key to being able to be efficacious, to be able to get things done. What is physics about exactly? A lot of people talk about physics as being the study of the interaction of energy and matter. I like to think of physics as the search for the fundamental laws of the universe, the basic rules that govern how everything works. And if you think about it, you might say, well, isn't that what science is? Like figuring out how the universe works? And I'd say, well, sure. I see all of science as, subsets of physics, of course. But in this course, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the most fundamental basic rules of how things work and build up the rules from there, this kind of structure, this mental structure of how things work. And so we start, like I said, very simply with just looking at motion and then build on that to think about like what causes motion to change and how energy is transferred between systems and momentum and collisions, and they move on to electrical forces and gravitational forces, and it's builds and builds. So let's hear. We believe that mechanics is the basic that everything else kind of builds on. And so rather than try to skim through a lot of material, normally during a school year, we spend, 2/3 to 3/4 of the year on just mechanics. Okay. This year, we're going to have to be doing things a little bit differently because of the way that we're doing distance learning. And rather than designing everything around some of these shared lab experiences and class discussion, we're going to be relying a lot more on, I figured people would be a little more comfortable working more closely with the textbook that the students have and kind of trying to follow along with that. So things may change a little bit this year on which topics we cover, but moving on. During a normal school year, this would be our goal, would be to cover these topics. I believe that we can probably, we'll probably move through this again this year, I hope. May not quite get through this many units. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, but our plan is to try to still cover the same material. We may just not go in quite so much depth because we don't have as much contact time, and we're not going to be able to do the same sort of rich lab experiences we would normally do. But you can see that the first semester is pretty much all about motion and forces. And then the second semester, we start getting into conservation laws of energy and momentum and charge. Let's see. This year, for the most part, the way that the course is structured is that we meet 3 times a week for 2 long sessions, either Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays and Fridays, depending on the period during the day when they have physics. And then Mondays is meant to be kind of a short little overview of the week, getting people started. It's a good chance for students to ask questions. Mondays are going to be great for that. Not even necessarily questions even about specifically what we're studying in class, but even if they just have questions about physics and the world in general. Monday is kind of a day where we have a shorter session that might be actually nice for, really, really nice for. But the way a course normally works is students are going to log in through Student View, and there should be a link there where they can get to the Zoom session. We're going to try to have Zoom sessions be mostly for student questions or some topics that are just really nice to have a live person explain to you rather than read or watch a canned video on. But I'd like to, as much as possible, deliver material through the textbook or through videos that I make of teaching these things, so that in those limited times we have together, we can make the most use out of them. And that's going to be best use is going to be having students trying some problems and getting their questions answered, and questions that will kind of give them some questions that will kind of prompt their thinking and help them to ask those questions and kind of fill in any gaps they have after trying the homework sets. Homework sets will be delivered through Google Classroom. And all the links for everything we're going to give, I'm trying to push everything through Google Classroom so they have just one place to go for my class. And that's where they'll typically they can download the assignment. They can oftentimes they'll be working out the problems. They're kind of long problems. They do sketches and diagrams and a lot of calculations, the sort of thing that you can't really type. They'll be doing that on paper typically, and then taking an image of that with the camera on their Chromebook or an iPhone or something, and then putting those images into one document and then uploading that document to Google Classroom. My plan is to have solutions posted when I post the assignments. So after they try the problems once, they're then expected to go to the solution and check through the solution and compare it with theirs, see if and then see if any questions come up. But hopefully, and it sounds weird, but hopefully they have some questions, because we want them to be learning from the homework sets. It's not expected that they get every problem right the first time. They're supposed to be learning from it. And so they can go through, take a look at the solution, and then they need to try the problem again. If they didn't get it right the first time, the expectation is that by the time we're done, they will have correctly solved every problem. If they still are having difficulties with it, then they're welcome to contact me. And if the solution for some reason isn't clear, or they just have more questions, just want to go a little deep in the material, they're welcome to contact me. Happy to do office hours and have Zoom sessions with them independently, one-on-one if they want. And so that's kind of the idea there. In addition to homework assignments, we'll occasionally have perhaps some sort of a thing that's going to count like a quiz. Showing up some of the things we've been doing lately in class. And again, we'll plan to have kind of unit tests. I imagine that there will be around 4 or 5 unit tests a semester. Those unit tests, they're going to be mostly more in-depth questions. It's not just going to be like factual recall. Like that's the sort of thing they can look up. And so it'll be more of getting into deep ideas, asking them to apply ideas in some new situations, how you apply these physics concepts. Those tend to be more like, there'll be some calculations we want to see if they can do, but there'll also be a lot of short answer and maybe even some longer essay type questions is how we'll be assessing them. Here. Labs, that's the trickiest thing. A lot of labs we do, my course is usually focused and centered around labs, where we derive the formulas from the data in the labs and then see how to apply those. Now, there's a lot that we can do with the virtual labs, and there's some great simulations online that we can look at. And so we'll be making good use of those. I may at some point film some labs and take some data to share with the class for us to analyze, to have the students analyze. And there are some things that perhaps they can do on their own with things around the house. But it'll be a challenge. It'll be a challenge. And then let's see, homework assignments. We already discussed this, that the plan is that every problem they're going to have successfully solved, and that may oftentimes require them to do problems at least twice. Again, they should be expect that when we have Zoom sessions, that they're active participants, they're paying attention, taking notes, asking questions when they have them. And then it's of course excellent for them to be asking those questions in class, because if they have a question, odds are good other people in the class have the same questions. And lastly, they should study with friends. While the assessments are when we have assessments, they're meant to check their personal understanding. But when they're doing homework or studying, they're welcome and encouraged to work with each other. When you have to explain something to someone else, it makes you have to process that information a little more deeply. You have to think about what's the most important features of this and how do I express this and explain to someone. And it makes you process the information more deeply and learn it better. And so I highly, highly recommend that the students get together and study together, virtually, I suppose. in these COVID days. Extra help is available. Again, Monday is obviously in class is an excellent time to ask questions when we meet. Mondays in particular is particularly nice, but they should feel free to interrupt me with a question. I know it sounds weird and it feels odd sometimes to interrupt in the middle of someone talking, but that seems to be like the best way while we're on Zoom. They just have to say, excuse me, and I can ask them what they've got. But they're welcome and encouraged to come to office hours before school and after school. During those hours before and after, they're for me to meet with my colleagues and discuss things, but mainly they're for me to make contact with students. And so students are encouraged to email me and arrange. I'm happy to have a Zoom session and address their individual questions, because we want them to keep up with the work. Because this class, everything builds. They were building up, understanding the universe from the base level, up, building. You need to have every level. Another site that's helpful besides their textbook, of course, they should have a textbook, Giancoli Physics Principles with Applications. There's also this website, physicsclassroom.com, that has great tutorials. It's got little simulations you can run, practice quizzes. It's really a very excellent site that covers the topics that we do in this course. Let's see. Be aware that we'll typically, while the class meets 3 out of the 5 days of the school week, there are things for them to be doing on those other days. The assignments typically are kind of something they might put some time in on those off days too. I think they might have wanted me to mention that the 23rd of September is a day when people won't be in class, because it'll be the SAT for seniors will be taking place in the building. But there will be an assignment that day for everyone to be doing for non-seniors. So, all right. Well, again, if you have any questions, of course, my best way of getting hold of me is you can email me. And again, I like this account. I check every day pretty much, ipsc.org site. But you can also, I guess, contact me through ParentVue. I just have to remember to check that email. That's kind of a new thing for me this year for all of us. But yeah, emailing is the best way. Also, if you don't want to type out an email, you know that if you go to the Waubonsee Valley High School webpage and you go to faculty and staff and you go down by my name, there'll also be my phone number for the office at school. Now, I'm not going to be around there to answer that phone, but that goes directly to my email too. So I'll have an email recording of your message. So, all right. Well, I look forward to teaching your students this year, and I hope that we can meet in post-COVID times. All right. Have a good evening.